Welcome, everyone. Good morning, and thank you all for carving out some time today to hear this, the last of our series of presentations for storage for the software seller. And we're excited about the topic this time. We're excited every time, but uh, we are covering a topic here that I think it's near and dear to a lot of folks' hearts in our customers and certainly at Converge. The whole conversation about data and AI with a highlight towards Ceph and its relationship in the Watson X world. So certainly a lot of our customers, as we go out and talk to them, AI is one of their top of mind things. So we want to make sure that we are armed with good, current, complete information on exactly how IBM can assist them as they build their AI operations. Now, at this point, we're going to turn it directly over to Mr. Dan Albright, who is the America's sales lead for object storage, both IBM Cloud Object Storage, which is still part of the world, and IBM Storage Ceph, which is the heart of the conversation today. Dan, if you want to do anything else in the way of introduction, I turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Doug, and thank you for your time there at Team Converge. I'm really excited having this conversation. Um, Watson X is presenting a huge opportunity to sell not only Fusion HCI, but also storage Ceph. So we'll talk first about a couple things, right? First is, just do a quick refresh on Watson X. And this is Watson X data. I want to emphasize that. We'll get into the role of Fusion HCI, but more so of object storage within the Watson X sales play here. And then, talk about finding storage sales opportunities. What is the best foot forward from a Converge standpoint and what's in it for you? And also wrap up, the resources, the multitude of resources really that are available to you to move forward. So what's driving Watson X? What's driving AI? And we all see it. I mean, it's right in front of us in every way. Chat and other venues, certainly just turning on the TV, right? And we have Watson X commercials. You're having AI being reported in the news. It's all over the place, and it is there for us to take advantage of. A study done and closed last year by McKinsey Group, in 2017, AI was a mention, really. 20% adoption, maybe, but it's doubled. And the expectation is by the end of 2022, 50% of businesses will certainly have AI being used in some fashion. That being said, it's a trend line that has actually moved from the point of, okay, I have, my compute, I have my data center, I have my infrastructure, and I'll add AI to really where AI is more of the first consideration when investing in technology. And right now, and this is a recent report that just came out of McKinsey that's available, on a public level. They stated that they found in their survey that 33% of organizations are using generative AI regularly and in at least one business function. So what does that tell us? That tells us they're still in the mode of dipping their toe in that water, right? Which to us as sellers is a great opportunity, right? We get in first. We can become more consultant to them, give them advice of where to invest, especially on a storage platform. 25% of C-suite executives say they're personally using Gen AI tools for work. And from those companies using AI, they say that Gen AI is already in their boardrooms. Okay. So again, it's not just a sysadmin that's toying around or looking into it. It's all the way up to the C-suite and boardrooms, knowing that AI and getting a feel for it and understanding it, what it means to their businesses and organizations. And 40% of organizations will therefore, you'll see an increase in investment in AI. I mean, it's really interesting how fast things are moving. Let's just take a step back 1 or 2 years. What was the number one budget investment, from our clients? Was it AI? Most likely not. What was it? It was cyber resiliency. And that's still top of mind. But when you bring AI into it, now I believe, actually exacerbates risk of any type of cyber resiliency. So you put the two together and you look at what we have to offer IBM, very strong offering to address both of those. And both of those obviously are top of mind when it comes to the C-suite executive. Other trends that we're seeing, data just keeps growing exponentially. And as the American sales lead for object storage, both for COS and Ceph, this is great news because where's that exponential growth really happening? It's not happening on structured data, it's happening on unstructured data. And therefore, the more unstructured data, more demand for an S3 target on-prem or in the cloud, right? Um, and as far as that data, 82% of data are inhibited by data silos, meaning they have not made the big investment in the direction they should when it comes to managing that data growth. Within that data growth, there's more types of documents, images, video, data formats that are out there. Again, creating a real problem for clients and a real challenge because that data isn't coming in clean. You got to organize that. You got to integrate it. You got to understand how to use it. And that pushes them into the mode of understanding from an AI standpoint and being able to leverage that asset called data. And then finally, 80%, the quality of the data is a big mystery. How do we take something that is stale, maybe inconsistent, never used, but still data that I can use and then repurpose it and add, increase the value of data to my organization? All these factors are trends that are really pushing opportunity into what we call AI and taking that business intelligence and making it a true value to the organization. But there's cost, there's complexities, and more importantly, you got to learn how to really govern that effectively. So, what's the requirement here? For anything what we offer to a client, there's three major components that they really care about. One is making sure they can govern it on a centralized basis. Two, they have quick access to that data and be able to use it. And it's a fit for purpose use. So the ability to scale with compliance, within that compliance, very important, as we all know, and therefore eliminating risk of, let's say, a cyber attack, and any other types of leakage of that data that could be competitively damaging to any given organization. Got to have those real-time analytics for business intelligence to really make sure the data that you have and applying AI to it is one that is providing value, but it has to be done quickly. And then finally, the ability to take that data and share it down to the user level is a very important factor as well. Yet still providing that quick access to data, still providing the ability to govern it, and therefore, maintaining that security of that data while you're increasing the efficiency of your organization down to the user level. And you look at us as storage professionals, through the years, there's the progression, right? There's data warehouse. It was all about block. Data lake, that is certainly object. Cloud certainly was the data warehouse, but, that has issues as well, as we know, because cloud certainly creates this lock-in scenario. It has very high costs, especially when there's activity around data. And now it's really the data lakehouse that we are moving into in order to support business intelligence and artificial intelligence. One place, one cost, but it has all the factors, has all the capabilities that were present in data warehouse, data lake, and cloud. Okay, so you have this convergence of capabilities that creates that data lakehouse, and the technology is there in order to provide it. So when we're looking at watsonx, there's three basic watsonx platforms, as you probably know. One is watsonx.ai, watsonx.data, watsonx.governance. Now, from an on-prem standpoint, and just again as a reminder, that's what I care about the most. That's my role, is to look for on-premise opportunities. So the on-premise opportunities that I'll be talking about won't be GA for Watson AI or Watson X governance until next year sometime. So the focus of this conversation around Watson X.data. And so the fit for purpose capabilities that we bring on-prem and governments and other, and pure scalability in order to support AI initiatives will be focused around Watson X.data opportunities. So again, the ability to scale, you want to be able to accelerate the impact of AI in a positive fashion, right? It has to be trusted, it has to be protected, and it has to be accessed whenever is needed in order to come out with something of value to the client when it comes to using that data. So what's the role of Fusion and Ceph? I'm confident many of you have gone to Seismic to check out the vast amount of content out there that has, discussions, perspectives on both Fusion HCI as well as storage Ceph. When you look at the stack here, as it relates to storage, it is the combination of Fusion HCI and Storage Ceph Pro Edition that is bundled, okay, with Watson X. That went GA in July of 2023. So you sit back and say, 100 terabytes of Fusion Essentials is bundled with a Watson X offering, Watson X.data offering, as well as what was advertised as 500 terabytes of usable capacity. It's really 768 terabytes of raw capacity of Ceph are bundled with it. So what's in it for me as a storage seller? Those are already, part of the offering. And, on the IBM side, we don't get comped as a seller, software or otherwise, on the on that bundle. So what's in for me? Well, the truth of the matter is that's really just I'll call it a wedge or a starting point from a storage standpoint. Most data, Watson X data opportunities are going to require a lot more of that resource. You can count on, a 5x type of scenario to support a Watson X.data implementation. So the upside is going to be against that 100 terabytes of Fusion and that 768 terabytes raw of Storage Ceph Pro. But let's just say, finally, if maybe the initial Watson Excel with these two components in it at these levels is all the customer really wants. Well, guess what? We have ready nodes in order to support that. So there is at least immediate opportunity just at these levels in order to drive revenue through the Watson X.data implementation. As I mentioned before, it's really Watson X.data that is going to be driving the opportunity for us for Fusion HCI as well as IBM Storage Ceph. And the combination of ready nodes is really at the Ceph level going to provide a really nice 1-2 punch, a true, I'll call, type of appliance that will increase the spend for us to close quota and recognize revenue from a given client. It's the easy math really is for every dollar of storage Ceph that is sold, you're going to be able to sell another dollar essentially of the Ceph ready nodes to host that software. So that's a nice combination that we have offered. And this was just released in the end of, not the end of, just beginning of November here. So this is available for us to sell today. So when we look at the different use cases available through the Watson X.data, and being able to position that Fusion HCI and Ceph, there's three key focus areas that are brought forward. One is the customer care. Its ability to make sure the customer can actually, utilize the tools and the solution that we provide. And therefore, there's a bit of consulting involved in that, along with that customer care. Next is enterprise analytics. That's what we're trying to accomplish, especially with the Fusion HCI, with its compute and acceleration and appliance and the caching capabilities, and therefore provide true analytics and rely on Ceph as that data lakehouse in order to provide the content when called upon. The other is certainly very important to have that governance to minimize risk and make sure there is compliance across the board when it comes to using watsonx.data with the support of Fusion HCI and Ceph. And then finally, Hadoop environments are a target-rich environment for Fusion HCI when it comes to deploying for the purpose of AI. You see that the use cases here on the left scale are or what's within the use cases I just described. You'll see the actual functionality associated with those use cases and where the role of Fusion HCI and Ceph plays. Certainly, we talk about scale and sharing data capabilities. The combination of HCI and Ceph is certainly there. But when it comes to real-time analytics and capabilities, on our operational or reporting basis, Fusion HCI for the modernization use case for DB2 clients is solely the opportunity modernization using Netezza, as well as optimization for cloud data warehouses like Snowflake. There's no real role for Fusion HCI because on-prem is not supported this time. And then finally, again, with the Hadoop data across the board, Fusion HCI and Ceph can be used. Lastly, the other two capabilities of streamlined data and business intelligence data sharing capabilities supported again through the combination of Fusion HCI and Ceph. So at a more detailed level, the core benefits really is it's an easy way to understand the relationship of Fusion HCI and Ceph. Fusion's there for performance, basically, right? And it's delivering the performance needed for those analytics. And Ceph's role is that of the data lakehouse, providing that vast and highly available capability of all data that's been absorbed through that business and sitting there to be used for AI and analytics. So it's one of performance on top and accessibility at the bottom in a very cost-effective manner. So let's talk about finding those sales opportunities, and it is the collaboration between Converge and IBM in order to expose these opportunities. From an on-prem standpoint, let's talk about pricing and licensing when it comes to Ceph. I don't know if you're aware, but in October, early October, there was a new set of PPA SKUs released for Ceph. These SKUs were targeted in order to provide cost, I should really say price parity between storage Ceph and IBM Cloud Object Storage. The delimiter here for this new set of SKUs is that IBM Storage Ceph is for object-only applications is the reason for that, or is what was released in order to provide that parity. The initial or original release, both for the Premium as well as the Pro editions, are still active because the original release of the Pro and Active editions for Storage Ceph have the multi-protocol capability within it, where the object-only Premium and Pro editions are only there for S3 object capabilities. So what it subliminally indicates is there's a lot more value for the multi-protocol variety of Ceph in comparison to object only. So again, both these are available within the Pro and the Premium edition. What's the difference between Pro and Premium? Just as a reminder, Premium comes with a Linux Red Hat license, okay? And as we know, Ceph needs Red Hat or RHEL in order to run, and it cannot run without it. There's going to be those clients out there that have an enterprise agreement with Red Hat for RHEL and therefore do not need to have that included in the licensing that we provide for storage Ceph. Hence the reason why we have the Pro Edition of Ceph available as well. So this is a lesson learned, by the way. We've gone through a lot of sales in the past, 3 quarters since we've released Ceph Pro and Ceph Premium, and it's very important to inquire with the client that, let's say, has a Red Hat license, Ceph license, is now purchasing the IBM variety. Do you have RHEL on an enterprise license basis or not? If they do, you're selling Pro. If they don't, you're selling Premium. So, what kind of revenue can be generated through the Watson X.data environment? This is just a quick example of what kind of revenue can be addressed and what kind of revenue is available to you when it comes to selling into the Watson X.data environment. You look at it from an HCI standpoint, small, medium, large, extra large, something around $800,000. That's a nice chunk of change, ranging up to and exceeding 2.27 million. We look at Ceph Pro Edition, and that's not premium, Pro Edition. Here's some examples ranging from 1 petabyte to 10 petabyte. And you can see how quickly, when you get into large opportunities like 10 petabytes, that the revenue quickly ramps up as an opportunity for you to close quota against. Now, what this chart does not show, even though it shows a usable capacity here, it's assuming the Ceph 4+2 with error correction code that would dictate the raw capacity being addressed. It's not showing the company of the ready node that we just released. And again, a good rule of thumb is for every dollar spent on Ceph, be it Pro Edition or really Premium Edition, you can sell the ready node hardware, and that should generate an additional $1 per terabyte, or $1 per in $1 per Ceph dollar. So essentially doubling the revenues that you would collect in a given opportunity. The ready nodes are something that's been released. As you probably know, we released and launched ready nodes for COS. That happened in August of this past quarter, Q3. And then we've also released ready nodes for Defender as well as Ceph. Ready nodes for Ceph are slightly different than that of COS. With Ceph, it's a lot more granular, and that's how the Ceph software should be viewed. When it comes to an object storage sale, regardless if it's for Watson X or for any other object storage opportunity, a good rule of thumb when it comes to Ceph as well as COS, compared to COS, COS is for ultra scale capabilities and implementations, and where you would scale in big chunks. And that is because of the way COS is architected, with the IDA, the interconnected dispersal mode that we have, and therefore you grow in big chunks with COS. With Ceph, it's a lot more granular. Once you've established your initial node, you literally can just grow a node at a time. And hence, you'll see a big difference between the ready node offering of storage Ceph compared to COS. What storage Ceph and COS have in common is this 12 drive node that's being offered. It's the same one for COS as it is for Ceph. On the COS side, there's another ready node that has 84 drive capacity, as well as you need to sell a controller with that in order to have a architecture that works for COS. And so there is a difference, in that lineup when you look in comparison of ready nodes for Ceph compared to COS. The value prop, obviously, it's the one throat to choke value prop. This is essentially an appliance as a result. The appliance is a great play for many customers because they know that once if anything goes wrong, they don't have to understand if it's a hardware versus software problem. In the case of, with Ceph and Ready Nodes, it's one call to IBM support in order to address the issue, and then IBM, obviously goes level 1, 2, and 3, both on the hardware and software when it comes to support. The use cases associated with Ceph are very much similar to that of COS. It is object storage, right? But it comes down to that granularity that really makes a difference on which one do you support. With the exception of Watson Data, which once again, by virtue of what a data lakehouse is, it's really one of looking at those use cases that need the granularity of Ceph in order to apply that product to that given environment. Again, from a strategic alliance, that IBM alignment with Ceph, it is a huge focus on that Watson Data opportunity, global data platform. It is very well, and we talked about it earlier to make sure it's form, fit, and function in order to support a given Watson Data environment, and that's what is certainly delivered through Ceph. Ceph is very easy experience, and the thing about Ceph, it's really unique in my opinion when it comes to object storage overall, is that Ceph really grew up through upstream open source application, right? I'd be willing to bet anybody that you walk into any client, there is probably an open source Ceph deployment somewhere within their infrastructure. It might be just being a lab, it could be just a sysadmin kicking it around. It could be fully deployed on production. But what that means is a great opportunity to sell downstream Ceph, because obviously with open source, there's no support for that other than Ceph community. And the larger the implementation of Ceph, the more pressure it is on a given organization using open source in order to provide that support. And not many customers want to have any one of their staff on the hook to answer to a call, midnight on a Saturday night because something went wrong with their Ceph implementation. So it's a huge selling point to help customers migrate essentially from that open source experience, which typically is very positive, to the downstream enterprise license experience, where that support really comes into play and included in the license. When it comes to sizing Ceph, a lot of questions come up around that in the early days. The product management team has done a great job, and what I'm displaying here is available on Seismic. It is a storage Ceph sizing tool. I played around with it just recently, and it's very easy. You have a slider right here, and if you know what the usable capacity is for a given opportunity, simply describe it on the slider. It'll show you where you stopped at. You put in what this model is, and it's always this 12 drive ready node, so that's pretty easy. But then you have a choice of different drive types in order to meet the capacity that's required. You also insert, and again, it's a drag down menu of what kind of erasure coding schema you want. In this case, it's a 4+2. There's also 8+3, there's 2+2, and 8+4 as well. And then finally, when it comes to licensing the Ceph, is this a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year opportunity? I'd argue to say that I'd be surprised if any customer would invest in a Ceph quote unquote appliance that has ready nodes plus the Ceph software for anything less than 3 years. As we know, they typically would capitalize that and then depreciate over time. What it does calculate for you immediately is what the license capacity would be against the inputs that you have. And it rolls up a solution summary with many different data points. The service specifications comes out with how many ready nodes you need. It gives you, specs on the processors and the RAM and the use of the NIC cards. And so it rolls it up really nice. So once you size the opportunity, you quickly come up with a configuration that you can begin your qualification and design with the client. And then when it comes time to actually quote, it's simply taking these metrics here and these figures and plugging them into eConfig, ePricer, PPA for your quote. So, what's the message here? Engage with IBM Watson X sellers and do it now. And this is something you can lean very heavily on our BSS. They have access to ISC, and as you do, and look for what Watson X opportunities are out there today and determine, is the cloud on-prem, undecide what is it, and you can begin that dialogue. But partnering with the IBM cloud team for Watson X is the key to success here. And that success then breeds into an opportunity for Fusion HCI as well as Ceph for the Lakehouse in support of that. Another path to success is also engaging at the ATL level. I mean, look at the ATL knows all things, or should know all things, about a given client and what their strategic direction is. And with that understanding of the strategic direction, I guarantee you Watson X is part of that. And so they'll have great vision of what's being offered and the dialogue associated with that when it comes to Watson X data, and then injecting, the on-prem offering of Fusion HCI and Ceph into that sales play. It may not happen at the initial sale of the Watson X, but as long as that dialogue is there to include the storage infrastructure needed to support it, it offers opportunities of phase two, phase three downstream. So it really helps build pipeline and open up opportunity. This is just a screenshot. You can see the date on this was August 19th of this year. It was for all of Americas, and it showed at that point in time the number of accounts, WatsonX.data, that are out there for the Americas, which was 896. It shows you those opportunities. Also gives you some other. This is a stage of where the sales at. A lot of them are engaged or qualify, moving to design. So very young, very young. And this is the great opportunity to move in while things are still in motion and requirements are being gathered with the client to to collaborate and inject Fusion HCI as well as Ceph storage in order to make it a more robust sale and a great uh, total solution for the client. Now, I just did it this morning. I did a quick check on ISC for the national market, which obviously, Converge is very well engaged with their sellers out of the national market. And what it showed, just for the U.S. national market, there is 365 opportunities for WatsonX.data out there on ISC today. A total of $32 million in that pipeline. So think about what that means to Converge, what it means to IBM sellers. That means a lot of opportunity immediately available to us. So the call to action is engage with our BSS reps and quickly determine in the given territory that the BSS yourself covers where those Watson X data opportunities are. Reach across the aisle, engage with the ATL, engage with the cloud seller, and let's expand the conversation and the opportunity for the total solution that includes Fusion HCI and storage Ceph. So again, this is the call to action. Engage in that opportunity now because it truly does exist. We have a number of resources available to you today. A lot of it is certainly on seismic. There's WatsonX.data opportunity specific to Ceph. There's collateral on that as well as there is for Fusion HCI to use for yourself, and it's something that can be used as a leave behind. There is office hours that's available to attend, and through that is dialogue along these lines. Quick to sign up for office hours, you go to IBM's Why You Learn Your Learning. It's something that's available to partners like yourself, as well as, of course, all IBMers in sales. And then finally, again, just go to Seismic, and in Seismic, just either type in Ceph, type in Fusion HCI, type in Watson.x, and you're going to get a wealth of information and content that you can use in your sales. So, with that call to action and moving forward with these resources, I'll open it up to address any questions right now. Doug?
Dan, thank you so much. A lot to parse in there, a lot of good food for thought. One thing that I would mention here, um, it's quite likely that for the folks that are on this call, people are not banging down your door right now with opportunities. They may not know to bring this to you yet. So we may need to be more proactive than that, as Dan is suggesting here. We need to kind of reach out to those guys. Hey, what's going on in the Watson X world? And did you know that we've got all of these wonderful ready-built solutions to make the data discussion in the Watson X story, which is going to be very complicated. Um, we've got the easy button. We can make this a much more palatable overall solution. And when they're competing with anybody else that's trying to address their AI needs, the fact that IBM can bring this sort of soup to nuts uh, approach as far as the sales opportunity goes, it should be a competitive differentiator for us. So definitely the guidance is here. Don't just kind of say this was neat, uh, good to have this information. We need to be reaching out to our counterparts within Converge. We need to be reaching out to our counterparts within IBM. If you need help with that latter part, reach out to us. We'll see what we can do to create linkages. But a lot of times we all know who the IBMer engaged on our account is. And so you can start, or who an IBM person, so you can start it with that person and they can daisy chain you over to, the right person to have that joint conversation. And this is going to become more and more part of our world. You know that, IBM is exploding when it comes to the AI conversation. And we do not want to get left behind here, and we will. And I think there was on one of Dan's slides a minute ago, is if we wait until the Watson X decision has been made to get it involved, chances are we're going to be too late. So a high amount of encouragement there to kind of be more proactive, insert yourselves into these conversations, and hopefully it's going to bear some fruit. Dan, I don't have any questions in the chat. Is there anybody that wants to come off mute? Any questions you might have out there in the audience? Silence. Okay, sounds good. As I pointed out in the chat, this presentation, this video, will be incorporated into our new Converge Digital Archive YouTube channel that we have created with all of the other storage for the software seller presentations. The link to that is in the chat. If you didn't get it out of the meeting invite, it's there too. But grab that, subscribe to it, keep track of it. And this is going to conclude the storage for the software seller. So what happens from here? We're going to be developing in 2024 based on feedback that we got. We did a survey early on in this process as to how you guys want to consume this information going forward. Most of the feedback was that you're looking for a quarterly update. Now, that being said, a quarterly update with everything that we have talked about, everything in the storage portfolio, is either going to be too rushed or too long. So I think what we'll do, the interpretation we'll do for that is that we will do a rolling quarterly update for each of the subject matter areas. So that probably will effectively mean that we'll have a monthly update. So a month, January might be Flash and Defender. February might be data and AI, the Scale and Ceph stuff, and March might be fusion and atmartization related stuff, and that way we could probably keep them to half hour, 45 minutes at that point, and be more mindful of your time in any one given uh, subject matter area, and not try to hit you with a fire hose once a quarter. So anyway, that's kind of the loose plan. We'll probably start there, and if it doesn't work, we'll, as we always do, we will adapt. But I do want to thank Dan for delivering this material. This is outstanding, extremely topical, something that every one of your customers is thinking about right now. So, and we want to make sure that they are thinking about the data elements of this conversation and not just the fun, how do I get, cool Watson X apps out there to my users, that kind of thing. At
Yeah,
this
and
point,
one last reminder I want to throw out there on
please.
object storage. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Once you get a Ceph or a Kai's footprint into a given client, you can anticipate a upgrade because of the exponential data growth
Yep.
on an annual basis. And so it is the gift that keeps on giving. It's one that, if you're not actively selling object storage, I encourage you to do so because the benefits to you from a compensation revenue attainment standpoint are huge.
Absolutely. Everything we're talking about today, or a sizable chunk of it at any rate, of the overall solution is Passport Advantage. So it's not, if you're a software seller, you're definitely going to get paid on this stuff. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, definitely take a look at it. Um, and I think that we're going to close out on that note. Thank you all for joining, and watch for this on the channel in the very near future. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.